Hey guys, what's up? You're watching the EJ Tech Show. I'm Sahil and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, which not only packs in some really impressive hardware, but it also re-embraces Google's operating system, which is kind of a big deal. So there's a lot to talk about, but before I get started, please do hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so we can keep making more videos like this one. Okay, so there are two versions of the Galaxy Watch 4. You've got the standard Watch 4, which comes in 40mm and 44mm sizes, and then of course the Watch 4 Classic, which you can get in 42mm or the bigger 46mm size that I've been testing. Both models are pretty similar in terms of hardware, but the designs are different. The regular Galaxy Watch 4 features a modern and sporty aesthetic, whereas the Classic edition is more traditional looking and rocks the iconic rotating bezel that lets you navigate the user interface with a satisfying click every time. Also, unlike last year's Galaxy Watch 3, which came with the default leather band, the new models share 20mm silicone straps and don't easily get worn out by sweaty workouts. Plus, it's simple enough to swap the straps out for a design of your own choosing. Now, the Classic comes in a stainless steel body with the 46mm option weighing 52 grams, and I always felt its presence on my wrist. So this is not a small watch by any means. If you're concerned at all about size, you might want to go for the 42mm version. The smartwatch is also IP68 dust and water resistant, which means you can take it into 1.5 meters of fresh water for up to 30 minutes. As for the display, the 46mm model gets a super punchy 1.4-inch Super AMOLED panel with a resolution of 450 by 450. The display is definitely bright enough to use under direct sunlight and it's always on. Furthermore, the screen is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass DX, meaning it's super resistant against scratches and any accidental knocks. So the biggest departure from Samsung's previous smartwatches is that both the Watch 4 and Watch 4 Classic don't use its own Tizen operating system and instead run on Google's latest Wear OS 3. Personally, I didn't really notice that I was interacting with a whole new operating system on this watch. It felt more like a minor Tizen update, and Samsung has done this deliberately to retain a similar user experience. The interface that you're looking at is called One UI Watch, which is basically Samsung's customized skin sitting on top of Wear OS. It's just like One UI on Galaxy smartphones. Anyway, the biggest advantage that Google Wear OS has over Tizen is its ability to download apps directly from the Play Store. I mean, Google Maps is finally available on Samsung watches, and so are many other useful apps, including Spotify and Strava. There's even a section in the Play Store that shows you all the compatible watch apps on your phone, and I easily added YouTube Music from this page. Meanwhile, the large library of customizable built-in watch faces is much appreciated, and you can always download more from the Play Store. Now, considering this is a Google Wear OS powered watch, you'd think that it would come with Google Assistant, but that's not the case. Instead, Samsung has pushed its own Bixby voice assistant, and I have to admit that it's much better than before. Bixby easily understood my accent, answered all my questions, and handled instructions without any issues. Wear OS also brings keyboard improvements. To respond to notifications, you can scribble, use your voice, send emojis, or type with a keyboard. So you no longer need to rely on Samsung's ancient T9 typing system because there are plenty of options to choose from. And that's exactly what this Samsung Google integration is all about, to give us options, which I'm totally on board with. But at the same time, keep in mind that in order to get the most out of your new Galaxy Watch, you need to be fully invested into the Android or Samsung ecosystem, because the current generation is not compatible with iOS. Although that being said, if you're an iPhone owner, you probably weren't considering an Android watch to begin with. But if you do own an iPhone and you were looking forward to buying the new Galaxy Watch 4 watches, then too bad, you're out of luck. The Galaxy Watch 4 Classic comes equipped with a new 5nm Exynos W920 dual-core processor, which gets slightly more RAM at 1.5 GB and double the storage at 16 GB compared with the Watch 3. But specs aside, this is one of the fastest smartwatches I've ever used, and it has more than enough grunt to run a variety of apps smoothly without any slowdown. However, a smartwatch needs to be more than just fast. It also needs to offer respectable battery life. The 46mm Classic variant packs in a 361 mAh battery unit and lasts a full day with the always-on display turned on. That's not bad, but it's certainly not best in class either. If you're using this device for things like sleep tracking, then you'll need to find some time in the morning to charge it up again. And in my testing, the Watch 4 Classic took about 2 hours and 10 minutes to fully top up. The most notable hardware upgrade this year is a new 3-in-1 bioactive sensor that enables bioelectrical impedance analysis, or BIA, to offer body mass scans. In other words, the Galaxy Watch can now detect fat and skeletal mass, which I think is a great feature to have on a smartwatch, but at this stage I can't vouch for its accuracy as it gave me very different measurements every time I used it. Of course, I also understand that accuracy can be affected by time of day and various other factors, but so far the results seem inconsistent. On the other hand, this smartwatch gave me nearly identical heart rate results when compared with the Apple Watch. The same was true with the SpO2 when measured alongside a pulse oximeter, while the automatic activity detection always worked like a charm. Sleep data was also very accurate, and now you have a new feature that lets you monitor your snoring, which seems pretty crazy for a smartwatch to do, but I guess it might be helpful to see exactly how much you snore to give you an idea about any potential health issues. Just note that such measurements are for your personal reference only and that you must consult a medical professional for proper advice. By the way, all this data is viewable in the Samsung Health app, and it provides detailed breakdowns on everything from sleep quality to exercise history. Speaking of exercise, there are loads of workouts to choose from, like running, cycling and swimming, and they'll give you all the essential metrics such as heart rate, time, distance and calories burned, while the built-in GPS ensures that location data is fairly accurate. One important thing to note is the lack of some fitness features. For instance, the ECG and blood pressure monitoring tools are only available in select countries, and India is not included in that list. The smaller 42mm Galaxy Watch4 Classic costs 31,999 rupees for the Bluetooth version, while the LTE version can be picked up for 36,999 rupees. If you're after a larger watch, the 46mm model costs 34,999 rupees for the Bluetooth variant and 39,999 rupees for the 4G variant. All things considered, I think the Galaxy Watch4 Classic has been priced reasonably well and has a lot going for it. Now, of course, Google's latest Wear OS is the big highlight this time, and Samsung has very smartly integrated the software on its own terms. Of course, I can't say for certain if brands like Oppo or Fossil will make better Wear OS watches in the future, but right now, the Galaxy Watch4 Classic is the best Android watch you can buy.
Foldable smartphones have been around for a few years now, and we've seen them come in all manner of shapes and sizes. Moreover, since it's still a relatively new field, the pace of innovation has been quite brisk. For instance, Samsung's first Galaxy Fold that we saw was largely a proof of concept device, but the Galaxy Z Fold2 that succeeded it was better than it in almost every single way and nearly hit the ceiling when it comes to what could be achieved on a foldable smartphone. However, the clamshell Z Flip never really got that chance, well, at least not until now. Hey guys, I'm Soham, you're watching the EJ Tech Show, and this is my review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip3. If you do enjoy the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the Editorji channel for more tech reviews. When compared to the last Galaxy Z Flip we saw, this new Z Flip3 is better in almost every respect. First, there's the display on the outside. It's now a larger 1.9-inch cover display, so you can see a respectable amount of your notifications, and there's quite a few widgets you can access right from here without having to open the phone. However, for responding to messages, you will still have to unfold, and there aren't a whole lot of widgets to choose from. It's certainly much more usable than the cover display on the previous generation, which is an improvement, but it'll be interesting to see if Samsung makes it even bigger on the next iteration. The other big upgrade is on the inner display. It's still a 6.7-inch AMOLED panel that folds, but this time it gets a 120Hz refresh rate. It also gets much brighter with 1200 nits of peak brightness, which make outdoor viewing quite a lot easier. Now you might ask how much of a difference that 120Hz makes, and honestly, coupled with the ultra-thin glass technology, the Z Flip3 feels incredibly close to just a regular phone, which is good, because the more normal the user experience is, the more likely people are to buy a folding phone. But perhaps the biggest change on the Flip 3 is the IPX8 rating, which makes it water resistant, at least for submersion in up to 1.5 meters of fresh water for up to 30 minutes. You still shouldn't take it to the swimming pool or to the beach, but the fact that Samsung managed to make a folding phone water resistant this early into its generational cycle is really impressive. They even managed to fit the phone with Gorilla Glass Victus, making it more durable. But if you use a phone this expensive without a cover, well, then you're a braver person than I am. Apart from this, there's all the little improvements made to the device and its user experience, which is expected in a next generation product. For example, the hinge is much tighter and the weight has been distributed differently, so you can rest the Flip 3 at far more angles for flex mode without it struggling for balance. There's also the latest and greatest Snapdragon AAA chipset for even faster performance, along with a feature I personally love: stereo speakers. You also get something I really don't use much: reverse wireless charging. And with this phone's rather modest 3300 mAh battery, I think it's a bit of an ambitious feature. Now, with that Snapdragon AAA chipset and 8GB of RAM, there's really nothing you can't do with the Z Flip 3 in terms of hardware. Multitasking performance is stellar, aided by One UI 3.1 and the ability to pin split-screen setups to the edge panel. Gaming is a fuss-free experience as well, and the phone gave me no lag or dropped frames while playing Call of Duty Mobile. The side-mounted fingerprint scanner worked faultlessly throughout my usage, even though it is a bit high up on the frame for my liking. When it comes to the cameras, the 12-megapixel dual sensor setup on the back remains unchanged, as does the selfie camera, but all three sensors perform pretty decently. Photos are sharp, colors are really vibrant, and details are well preserved. The ultra-wide sensor is quite handy and adds versatility to the entire setup. Videos can be shot at up to 4K at 30 FPS, and thanks to that IPX rating, I even managed to shoot a few clips in the rain without being too worried. Speaking of video, the main display is really nice to watch content on. In fact, it's my biggest use case for the device apart from scrolling Instagram. There's support for HDR10 for apps like Netflix, and unless you're looking at the screen at an angle, you can't really notice the crease in the middle, which is just as deep as we saw on the previous generation. What's also same as the last generation is that 3300 mAh battery which I mentioned earlier, and with that 120Hz refresh rate, I didn't expect the Flip 3 to last me even a whole day. But surprisingly, after a couple of days of using the device, I registered a respectable 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time with regular usage, and when I used it sparingly as a secondary device, it gave me over 7 hours of screen on time. Samsung has also helpfully provided various battery optimization settings and a feature that stops the battery charging over 85% in order to extend its overall longevity. Now yes, this isn't the kind of battery life you'd expect from a daily driver, but then again, it depends on what kind of user you are. If you're the kind of person that uses their phone from the moment they wake to well after their head hits the bed, the Flip 3's battery won't cut it. But if you're a casual user that maybe watches a few episodes of a TV show, scrolls a couple of hours of Instagram, and takes some calls in between, the Flip 3 should do just fine. And this brings me to all the things I think Samsung could do to make this device even better. The cameras, for starters, while perfectly usable, could use a bump in both resolution and versatility with the addition of a newer Samsung ISOCELL sensor and maybe a telephoto lens. Then there's the battery, which, if even slightly larger at 4000 mAh, would easily be enough to get a day's worth of heavy usage and make for a much more compelling package overall. I'd also like to see faster charging speeds than the 15 watts currently available here, which takes the phone over 90 minutes to go from flat to full, especially since Samsung does not include an adapter in the box anymore. Finally, there's the design, which has taken a more mature turn in this particular generation, and the phantom black color does make it look a bit too simple. On any other phone, it probably wouldn't matter, but on a device that's such an occasion every time you unfold it, a prettier color and finish than those currently offered would have been appreciated. Personally, I would have loved to see a purple or gold colored model just like the previous Z Flip. Look, I'll admit, these criticisms fall flat in the face of what I believe is pure fun: the ability to fold and unfold your smartphone. You have every right to call it a gimmick, and you're not wrong for saying so, but it's a gimmick that's so simple yet so clever that it completely changed the user experience of a smartphone for me. And that's saying something, considering I already daily drive Samsung's Z Fold 2. The Galaxy Z Flip 3 then builds on everything the first generation was lacking, and with a few more tweaks, it'll be practically unbeatable. Even now, with an attractive price tag of 84,999 rupees, that'll really make prospective iPhone 13 Pro buyers think twice. I feel Samsung has hit a bit of a ceiling, and I don't know how much more they can change the game. All I know is this: if you're bored of using your traditional smartphone and you're looking for a bit of old-fashioned fun, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 is your next best friend.
Hi guys, you're watching the EJ Tech Show and my name is Deepith. Today I have with me the Samsung Galaxy M32 5G. Samsung promises a future-proof 5G experience with 12 bands supported, but at Rs 20,999, does this phone also offer a great camera, display and performance? Before we answer that question, make sure you hit that like button and do subscribe to our channel to keep seeing more content like this. The Galaxy M32 5G has a very sleek back design. I'm a huge fan of this blue color option. The glossy back does get a few fingerprint smudges, but with this color back at least they're not very visible. There's really no camera bump here at all. The individual camera lenses protrude out of the back a little bit, but still it gives the phone a very sleek profile. The front features a teardrop style notch for the display. I feel like an Infinity O or punch hole style display along with smaller bezels on the sides and top would have looked a little more premium. So what does the Galaxy M32 5G have to offer in the specs department? Well, you get a 6.5-inch HD Plus LCD screen along with a MediaTek Dimensity 720 chipset. It also comes with up to 8GB RAM, although this model has 6GB and 128GB storage as base, which is great to see. The rear camera setup features a 48-megapixel primary lens along with an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, 5-megapixel macro camera and a 2-megapixel live focus lens, which helps with the portrait mode. Keeping the lights on is a 5000 mAh battery which supports 15-watt fast charging. The Galaxy M32 5G is not the lightest phone out there at 205 grams, but it fits well in the hand. One-handed use will be difficult unless you have fairly large hands, but One UI does have software features to compensate for that. There's a side-mounted fingerprint reader which is very fast. I would really have liked to see a Full HD Plus display or a 90Hz refresh rate in this phone. How much this affects your experience will depend on your preferences. Some people can't tell the difference between HD Plus and Full HD Plus at all, but some like their high resolutions. For an LCD, the screen still offers great viewing angles and vibrant colors, which makes it great for watching content. It also gets pretty bright and is very usable outdoors. For sound, there's a single bottom firing speaker which gets decently loud and does an adequate job. The Galaxy M32 5G offers a fantastic camera experience for this price. The rear camera gets great detail and clarity in outdoor settings, even in the evenings with slightly dim lighting. The colors are obviously vibrant because this is a Samsung phone, but still fairly accurate. It's easy to get good-looking shots with the Galaxy M32 5G. The HDR Plus algorithm and processing is also quite good and can bring out detail in different lighting scenarios. Indoors, you do get some grain, but the camera still captures detail and represents lighting pretty accurately. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide is among the best I've seen in this range. There's surprisingly little color shift and loss of detail when switching over from the main lens, which is very impressive. The front camera also does a good job with adequate lighting and even more so when the front portrait mode is selected. There's not a lot of skin smoothing by default, which I really appreciate. For performance, MediaTek's Dimensity 720 SoC is pretty fast and there's obviously no slowdowns or jitters in the UI. This is also pretty good for gaming. BGMI runs flawlessly on HD graphics settings with a high frame rate. Multitasking is still fine on this 6GB RAM model, and it's fantastic to see 128GB of storage even in the base variant. The Galaxy M32 5G supports 12 5G bands, so when 5G does launch in India, you should have no problems with connectivity. On the software front, you get the latest Android 11 and One UI 3.1. Fully featured, not the core version, although some flagship features like Good Lock are not present. One UI is as chock full of features as ever though, and still very customizable. There are some default apps which send notifications, but you can always uninstall those. The 5000 mAh battery will easily last you around a day and a half with normal usage and perhaps even 2 days. I experienced around 6 hours of screen on time with some heavy usage where I played a lot of BGMI and also watched a lot of videos. It supports 15-watt charging through the Type-C port and it takes around an hour and 40 minutes for the phone to go from around 10% to 100% battery. The Samsung Galaxy M32 5G strengths are very clear. It offers quite a fast chipset with wide 5G support for a great experience. The camera is excellent and makes for some very good looking shots. And if you do want to play games, this can do that too. It would have been nice if Samsung could have included a Full HD Plus display with a high refresh rate. But at Rs 20,999, the Galaxy M32 5G provides a compelling choice in the increasingly competitive budget 5G market.